Hello, friends, and welcome to your weekly meditation. Find that long spine. Whatever position works to help you find that long spine. Being so kind and gentle with ourselves and not having these expectations that if we don't sit in a particular way, then we're no good at meditation. Or if our mind doesn't empty of thoughts, we're no good at meditation. Or if our mind wanders many times, we're no good at meditation. There is no good at meditation. There is only showing up, even though it's difficult sometimes, and just being here and being willing. Maybe take a moment and just come into contact with that deeper part of you. And just let them know that you're here for them, to support them in whatever way they need. Now, whatever comes up, you got this. No matter how much the mind wanders, you got this. And you're here. Welcome. Use that breath. Every time you breathe, think of there being expansion. And every time you exhale, think of there being release. Expanding what? I don't know. Maybe that length of the spine, maybe that spot in your low back that's tender. Maybe the chest so you feel the lungs. I don't know. Maybe our mind so we're not in a closed in, restricted place. Maybe our heart so we're not closed off. But every inhale, use it as a chance, an opportunity to expand. And every exhale, release. Release what? Tension, fear, anxiety, anger, tightness, restriction. That old belief that you're not good enough. Every inhale, expand. Every exhale, release. Just to give the mind something to continue to focus on for a bit here. Let's bring our awareness to the inside of our mouth. And from the inside of the mouth towards the outside, the skin, the back of the head, the lips, etc. Soften. And then bring your awareness to your right shoulder. From deep inside the right shoulder, soften all the way towards the outer shoulder. And from deep inside the left shoulder, soften everything you can think of, all the way out to the skin. And then go down to the palm of the right hand, the palm and the fingers. And deep inside, soften all the way out. And over into the left hand, all the way down into the marrow of the bone. Soften all the way out to the skin. Taking just a second, bringing your awareness into both hands at once, specifically the palms. And I've mentioned it before, but since we use our hands so very much, the mind has a lot of neurons that fire between the hands and the brain. And it's a place we can often sense energy. So just notice if there's pulsing or throbbing or just a feeling, a tingling. Maybe it's a numbness, pain. All of those are sensations. Notice if you can really tune into the sensations while you're here in the palms of the hands. So hopefully through this body scanning work, we begin to build more of those connections between the body and the brain. Right, so let's continue down into the feet, the right foot, deepen the right foot. Soften from the inside out as if you could. From deep inside the left foot. The right hip, all the way where the ball and socket meet, and softening everything all the way out to the skin. And if the mind continues to meander, that's all right. Just come back where we are when you hear where we are. No worries. Celebrate the fact that you realized the mind meandered and redirect to where we are. The left hip, from deep inside the left hip, softening all the way out to the surface of the skin. In the pit of the abdomen, the belly, as if you could soften every organ in there and all of its fascia. If that's that connective tissue, just soften everything from the inside out, towards the back, towards the front of the belly, towards the sideways. And then come to the center of the chest, as if you could soften the heart and the lungs and the thymus gland and anything else there in the chest, all the way out through the muscles, through the skin. I should say the bones. We got that rib basket in there too, the bones to the muscles to the skin. And then come back to the inside of the mouth again. And if it helps you to actually yawn, you're welcome to do a fake yawn or a real yawn. But otherwise, I want you to just get in touch with what that feels like when you yawn. Right? There's this complete widening of the mouth. The top moves up, the bottom moves down, the sides to the side, etc. Right? And the whole space of the mouth enlarges. And if we pause after that yawn, It usually stays into a slightly wider space than when we're kind of constricting in the base of the tongue. That's the very back is rising up towards the upper palate or the tip of the tongue lifting, etc., right? The jaw clenching. So try to keep that spaciousness. And then bringing your attention to that, because I'm going to ask you to recall that when we get to a new spot. So now bring your awareness between the eyebrows. And if we were to draw a line from between your eyebrows to the back of the head, and then we drew a second line from above one ear to above the other, we're going to bring our awareness to where those two intersect. So from between the eyebrows, just start to move back on that line towards the back of the head until you reach that second line above the ears. And right in that space, pause and try to leave the attention there. Now, if that seems strange or unmanageable, can't quite do it, just leave it right between the eyebrows and you can imagine all of this from that place. But otherwise, I'm going to call this the center of the mind. And just like you did in your mouth a few moments ago where you yawned, right, or imagined that yawn and everything widened and softened, I want you to imagine the same thing happening, right? Visualize, imagine the same thing happening here. And everything softens and widens. And there's this little space for our awareness to sit in there. The mind is going to meander at some point in time, right? We have the place we're focusing our awareness, middle of the mind. The mind meanders. So stage 2 is to notice that the mind has meandered. I always like to celebrate. That's recently been brought to my attention, and it's been a really good tool for me to celebrate that I realized my mind wandered. And then the third stage is to redirect it, and you're going to redirect it back to this center of the mind area. And for those of you who have been with me, you know that I was taught and believe this is where our inner voice, our innermost voice comes from, right? Our discernment, our intuition, and where we can really get in touch with that deepest part of ourselves. It's a place where nobody else gets to enter, nobody else's voice from your past or from, the current time. No expectations from your parents or teachers saying unnurturing, cruel things, or siblings heckling you, right? Nuns, pastors, etc., trying to tell you that you have to be this way in order to be a good person. Just you, just you. If anything comes up, especially if it's uncomfortable, try to sit with it and breathe into it. And if nothing rises up, that's okay. We're not going on an excavational dig. We're just being present with this deepest part of ourselves. This aspect who knows everything about us and loves us just as we are and knows that we are enough and that we are worthy. I am still with you. If the mind meandered, celebrate that you recognize that, you realize that, and redirect it back to being present with that deeper part of yourself in the center of the mind. And while we're in this space and before we start to move towards the end of the meditation here, let's take a few moments and find 3 things to be grateful for if you can. I like to remind people they don't have to be crazy complex things. There are days where literally I have just been grateful I have pooped. Right? Gratitude for a yellow flower that made you smile. Whatever that might be, it can be super simple, small things. Maybe one of them could even be that you showed up for yourself today in this way. And if you already came up with 3, let that be a 4th. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Inhale. Fill up those lungs, and as you exhale, keep the chest lifted, but bow the head in, head towards the heart. Remembering to always, always check in with that heart when you make decisions. Let them guide each other. They are of the same. Right? We're a whole body, a whole being. And may you find much abundance in your day today. Namaste.